The little girl said, "Sir, my mom didn't come home last night." The rancher followed her into. The sun was sinking behind the distant hills, painting the sky in shades of orange and blood red, when Thomas Grayson, a weathered rancher with a quiet soul and a past full of scars, noticed a small figure standing by the rusted wooden gate of his land, her tiny hands gripping the cold metal bars as if they were the only thing keeping her upright. Her clothes dusty, her brown hair tangled by the wind, and her wide eyes filled with a fear no child should ever have to carry. At first Thomas thought she was lost, another wanderer passing through the endless stretch of open fields. But when he walked closer and she looked up at him with trembling lips and whispered, "Sir, my mom didn't come home last night," his heart tightened in a way it hadn't in years, and in that single moment, the lonely rancher realized this wasn't just a lost child. This was a cry for help that fate had placed directly in his path. He knelt down, keeping his voice calm, asking her name, and she softly replied, "Emily," explaining that her mother worked at a nearby diner and always walked home through the forest trail. But this time she never returned, and Emily had waited all night, watching the empty road from the porch of their small cabin until the sky turned gray. And when no footsteps came, she gathered her courage and followed the path she wasn't supposed to take, leading her to Thomas's ranch. The old rancher hesitated, memories of loss flickering through his mind. Now he had lost his own family years ago to an accident. He still blamed himself but something in Emily's eyes reminded him that some wounds can only be healed by helping others. So he grabbed a flashlight, saddled his horse, and told her, "We'll find your mom." Though deep down he sensed this journey would lead them into something far more dangerous than either of them could imagine. The trail into the forest was narrow and shadowed, the trees whispering secrets as the wind passed through them, and Emily held tightly onto Thomas's coat as they walked, her small footsteps struggling to keep pace, while distant animal cries echoed through the darkness, making the woods feel alive and watchful. And after nearly an hour, they found something chilling, a single shoe lying near the creek, muddy and torn, unmistakably belonging to Emily's mother. And the little girl fell to her knees, clutching the shoe as tears streamed down her face, whispering, "This is hers." And in that instant, Thomas knew they were no longer just searching for a missing woman. They were stepping into a mystery that had been hidden in these woods for far too long. He comforted Emily and promised her he wouldn't leave until they found the truth. But as they ventured deeper, strange signs began to appear, broken branches, deep footprints, and faint marks leading toward an abandoned mining tunnel that locals avoided, a place rumored to be cursed. And as they stood before the dark entrance, the air grew cold, the silence heavy, and Emily whispered, "My mom said never go near here." But Thomas, gripping his flashlight tighter, replied, "Sometimes the scariest places hold the answers we need." And with that, he led the little girl into the darkness, unaware that what awaited them inside would change their lives forever. The tunnel smelled of damp earth and forgotten history, each step echoing through the hollow passage as Thomas guided Emily forward, his flashlight cutting thin beams of light through the thick darkness, revealing old wooden supports and rusted mining tools scattered across the ground, while water dripped from the ceiling like a slow, ticking clock counting down to something unknown. Emily clung to his hand, her small fingers cold but determined, and though fear trembled in her voice, she refused to turn back, whispering, "My mom is in here. I know it." And Thomas admired the strength of this little girl who had already endured more pain than many adults ever face. But as they ventured deeper, they heard a faint sound, a soft groan, barely louder than the wind. And Thomas froze, motioning for silence, his heart pounding as he followed the noise, until they found a woman lying behind fallen debris, injured but alive, her leg trapped beneath a heavy beam. And Emily screamed, "Mom!" rushing forward as tears of relief flooded her face. And in that emotional reunion, Thomas felt something break open inside his chest, a reminder that not all stories end in tragedy, and that hope, no matter how small, can survive even the darkest places. The mother explained that she had been chased by two men while walking home, strangers who tried to steal her bag, and in her attempt to escape, she ran into the forest and fell into the abandoned tunnel, where she'd been trapped ever since, surviving on rainwater and sheer will, praying her daughter would be safe. Thomas wasted no time, using his strength and ranch tools to lift the beam, just enough for the woman to slide free. And with Emily helping however she could, they slowly made their way back toward the light, every step a victory against fear, pain, and hopelessness. And when they finally emerged from the forest, the morning sun welcomed them like a blessing, bathing their tired faces in warmth and promise. Word of Thomas's bravery spread quickly through the town. But what mattered most to him wasn't the praise. It was the way Emily smiled again, the way her mother held her close, and the way his once lonely ranch now felt filled with purpose, laughter, and life, proving that sometimes the greatest rewards come not from what we gain, but from who we save. Thomas continued to watch over them, becoming a protector, a friend, and eventually a family they never expected to find. And as Emily grew older, she often told people, "A rancher followed me into the dark and brought my light back," reminding us all that heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes they wear dusty boots and carry kind hearts. If this story inspired you, touched your soul, or reminded you of the power of compassion, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel, because every story here is meant to lift you, motivate you, and remind you that even in the darkest moments, hope is never truly lost.